So here is the story. My son has a classmate who needed help picking a laptop for school and some light gaming, nothing special. He came for me for advice. And as a retired gamer and lifelong PC nerd, there was only one right answer. She doesn't need a laptop. She needs to build a PC. Surprisingly, she was totally down for it. She gave me a budget of 1300 with monitor and keyboard included. And today, we are building her the perfect school plus gaming PC from scratch. But not just any PC. This is the 2026 all-white gaming and productivity beast. And I will tell you every part I choose and why.
So let's break down what I'm working with. The CPU of choice today is the AMD Ryzen 5 5500. 6 cores, 12 threads, super solid for gaming and multitasking. I choose it because it gives great performance for the price. It's not the latest, but honestly, for 1080p and even 1440p gaming, it's more than enough. For the motherboard, I went with Asus ROG Strix B550F. It's AM4, so fully compatible with the Ryzen 5. Has good VRAMs, future upgrade support, Wi-Fi if needed, and looks awesome in a white themed build. Since the RAM prices for DDR5 are higher than gold, I went with 16GB G.Skill DDR4 with speeds of 3200 dual channel, of course for better performance, and also 16GB is the sweet spot for gaming and everyday tasks. I can always upgrade later, but this is a great start. For the storage, I went with Samsung 990 Pro, 1TB NVMe. Super fast read and write speeds. Loads Windows, games, apps in seconds. And 1TB gives plenty of space for school projects, plus casual gaming. For the graphics card, we are using the new Gigabyte RTX 5060 with 8 gigs of VRAM. This is Nvidia's latest budget-friendly GPU, and it hits the sweet spot for the most people who want strong gaming performance without spending a fortune. It handles 1080p gaming on ultra settings with no problem at all, and if you ever want to move up to 1440p, it's more than capable of running most titles smoothly. It's also efficient, stays cool, and won't turn your PC into a space heater like older cards. And of course, the white edition looks perfect in a clean, all-white build. Overall, it's a great mix of price, performance and style. Exactly what this build needs. For the case, I choose the Musetech White Edition. It has that clean, modern, fish tank look that a lot of people love, with really good airflow, and comes with pre-installed fans. For cooling, I went with the Thermalright Frozen Edge 360 White Edition, and this thing does a fantastic job. It also looks very clean for the white build design. Compared to any stock cooler, this is a massive upgrade. You get better thermals, less noise, and a system that stays cool even during long sessions. Overall, it's a great balance of performance, silence, and visuals. For the extra fans, I went with Thermalright TL-C12CWS. They are silent with really good airflow, and they are white with RGBs to complete the whole vibe. For the power supply, I went with the Thermaltake Tough Power GT 850 watts, Snow Edition. It's fully modular, which means every cable is detachable. You only plug in the ones you need, making cable management way cleaner and helping the whole build look much more organized. The 850 watts give us plenty of power, not only for this setup, but also for any future upgrades, especially if she ever decided to move to a stronger GPU down the line. The 80 plus gold efficiency rating also means the PSU runs cooler, wastes less energy, and stays more stable over time. Overall, it's reliable, efficient, upgrade friendly, and matches the style. The monitor of choice is Xiaomi G27i. He has fast refresh rate and is budget friendly. The keyboard is Logitech MX Keys S. It's quiet, also low profile and wireless. Now let's start putting the main components together. I will keep everything simple and walk you through each step. Even if this is your first PC build, don't worry. We will take it slow and begin with installing the CPU. Start by opening the CPU socket.
Lift the little lever, then align the triangle on the CPU with the one on the socket and gently drop it in. If it's aligned correctly, it will drop into place by itself. Then, just lock the lever. With CPU installed, we can now move to the next step, installing the RAM. Now take your RAM sticks and look for the small notch on the bottom. Line that up with the notch in the slot so it can only go in one way. Place the RAM straight into the slot and push down firmly until you hear both sides click into place. Repeat the same steps for the other sticks. If you only have two RAM sticks like I do, place them in the second and the fourth slot for better performance and stability. Next, let's install the SSD. Start by locating the M2 slot on the motherboard. It's usually right below the CPU or near the PCIe slots. Once you find it, carefully remove the small screw and lift off the heatsink. Take one of the included motherboard screws and tighten it down to hold the SSD securely. Now take your SSD and line up the notch with the notch in the M2 slot. It only fits in one direction, so don't force it. Slide the SSD in at a slight angle, then press it down gently until it sits flat. Now place the heatsink back on top, making sure it's aligned properly, and secure it with the screw you removed earlier. Before installing the water pump, mount the cooler brackets into the motherboard. Make sure each bracket lines up with the screw holes around the CPU socket and sits firmly in place. This is what will hold the pump down, so take your time and double check the alignment. There are lots of ways to apply thermal paste, so pick whichever pattern you like. I'm using the cross pattern here because it spreads really evenly. Lower the pump onto the thermal paste and tighten the mounting screws in both sides slowly to apply even pressure. Finish by connecting the pump cable and the fan splitter. Carefully lower the motherboard into the case and line it up with the metal standoffs. Make sure every screw hole sits directly over a standoff. That's how you know it's positioned correctly. Once everything is aligned, start inserting the screws one by one. Tighten them gently, just enough to hold the board in place. You don't need to force anything. Installing the power supply is easy. Just slide it into place, secure it with the 4 screws, and then route all the cables through the back panel to keep the build clean. Now let's install the graphics card. Start by removing the two PCIe slots covers on the back of the case. These are the metal brackets that line up with the GPU ports. Keep the screws because we will reuse them. Next, find the top PCIe slot on the motherboard. That's the long slot closest to the CPU, and it's where your GPU should always go for the best performance. Make sure the latch at the end of the slot is open. Hold the card by the edge, line up with the PCIe slot and gently push the card straight down until you hear or feel the latch click into place. Don't force it. If it's lined up correctly, it will slide in smoothly. Once the card is seated, reuse the screws from the PCIe covers to secure the GPU to the case so it stays firmly in place. Now the last step is to connect all the cables to the motherboard. Use the manual that came with the motherboard to connect all the cables correctly. This is very important, so try to make it right on the first try if possible. Don't worry if you see a few cables that don't match anything on your motherboard. That's completely normal. Not every cable from the power supply or the case needs to be used, so don't force anything. Just go through the main connections one by one, and it should be it. Now plug in the monitor, keyboard and hit the power button. If you connected all the cables correctly, the RGB fans should start spinning and you will see the BIOS screens pop up. And just like that, boom, we are alive. After installing Windows and all the drivers, I ran a few tests, so here are the results. Here's what the RTX 5060 can do in real games. In CS2 you will get plus 100 FPS at 1440p on high settings, which is great for compatible gameplay. Cyberpunk actually performs extremely well too, around 300 plus FPS at 1440p high settings, which is kind of crazy for a card in this price range. Fortnite sits around 80 plus FPS at the same settings, giving you a smooth experience even in a busy fights. PUBG averages about 670 60-70 plus FPS on high settings and at 4040p, which is more than playable. And in The Witcher 3 you will see a solid 60 FPS cap on high settings. It's super stable and visually clean. Overall, this GPU handles modern titles really well at 1440p, comfortably delivering smooth gameplay across a wide range of games. So the build is finished. I'm going to deliver it right now. Let's go. Follow me. So this is the moment of truth. Let's see if this works. It does, surprisingly. So guys, cameraman, thank you. So let's take a look. Tell me in the comments what do you think about this setup. Completely custom made for a girl.